Hello and welcome to LyfeTalk. My name is David Zick, and I'm really happy that today we have with us a Sacramento native who currently lives in Australia. Brother Peter Lasovic is visiting us here in the Sacramento area, and we want to take an opportunity to ask him a couple of questions. Today we're specifically talking about the issue of employment and career. Interestingly, just recently, a study found that only 16% of young people are currently in the workforce. And not only that, but it's really troubling because there are 2.2 million young people, ages 16 to 19, according to a recent foundation study, that are neither in school nor working. And when you add on 20 to 24-year-olds, another 4.3 million that are neither working nor going to school. That's 6.5 million young people in this country that currently neither work nor go to school. The way that our culture is progressing then would tell me that we got to think seriously about how we plan out our careers. And so I wanted to take this opportunity to ask Brother Lasovic here, when young people are trying to look for a career, what would be the number one thing for a teenager to think of when they are thinking, this is my future, what am I going to do with it? What would you say is the number one? Because I'm sure you have a long list, but what would be the number one thing that you would say to a young person who told you, I'm trying to think of what I'm going to do with my life?
That's a very important question, and I probably would have answered it quite differently if I was in my early 20s.
Okay. How would you have answered it then?
Okay, and I'll tell you why. Okay, because now I'm in my 50s. Okay, when I was in my early 20s, I thought of the year 2000.
Okay.
I was going to turn 40 in the year 2000. I would have been old, almost ready to die. And that's 13 years ago. Okay, what is amazing is that life is actually very short.
Okay.
So you may be thinking about many different things when you look at goals and plans for life, what you want to do in life. Obviously, one of the most important things is to do something you enjoy doing. Nothing worse than somebody going to work and hating every day of their life. Right. Waiting till the day of retirement when they never have to go to work again. And most of those people, at the day they retire, within 2 or 3 years, they are dead.
It's just miserable life.
Okay, so now, their life was not worth anything, and it's only a few years. Come on, how long are you going to work in something for the rest of your life? So you have to seriously think, not only of, well, first of all, you have to think of something that you enjoy.
Okay.
But secondly, you need to not only think of something that's only in this world. Because I'm telling you, this life is short.
All right.
I mean, come on, you go to medical school, okay? You want to go to medical school. You spend all your time studying. By the time you're 30, 32, something like that, you're ready to actually start life.
Yeah, it's a long school process.
Okay, and how many years are you going to work in the medical field? I mean, come on, if you did 40 years, you'd be 72.
Wow.
So that's not a long time. And so whatever you do, you have to look at two things. Number one, to make sure that it's something that you enjoy doing. And secondly, that has eternal consequences.
So as a younger person then, do you think that it's valuable to start getting experience by just working?
The biggest problem with people that get experience just by working is they never go back to school.
Okay.
Almost every single person that I ever talk to, very few ever go back and say, okay, yes, I'm going to finish this. They have their goals, they have their plans, they go out, start working, they make minimum wage, and they're so excited they never made so much money in their life. And they don't go think about school anymore because they're making all this money, which is not enough to survive. But for a single person who's staying at home, yeah, it's plenty of money. They can buy their car, they can buy all these other things, but they can't raise a family on that.
So then education is an important part of your preparation for the future.
A very important part.
What kind of educational goals should a young person here in Northern California be looking at?
Okay, let me share with you 3 things. 3 statements. First one is in the book of John.
Okay.
John chapter 4, verse 13 and 14. This is the critical thing. So if you are thinking about your life work right now, what are you going to do for the rest of your life? There's something you got to decide beforehand.
Okay.
John chapter 4, verse 13 and 14, is Jesus' interview with that woman at the well. It says here, Jesus answered and said unto her, Whosoever drinketh of this water shall thirst again. But whosoever drinketh of the water that I shall give him shall never thirst. But the water that I shall give him shall be in him a well of water springing up into everlasting life. Now, here this woman, here is this Samaritan woman talking to Jesus. He talks to her about this water of life. She gets so interested, she accepts this water of life. And what's the first thing she does?
She goes and shares with others.
What does that mean?
Well, she becomes a missionary.
Exactly. So in Desire of Ages, just to share this statement here with you, it's Desire of Ages, it's on page 195. It says here, every true disciple is born into the kingdom of God as a missionary.
Does that mean every single person is going to be a Bible worker?
Not every person is going to be a missionary.
So that means that regardless of the career that you're looking at, this needs to be a focus.
That is number one. So what happens is that before you can properly decide on your career, you need to accept Jesus as your personal Savior. That is number one. Because otherwise, you're going to spend your whole life doing something that is worth what? Okay, so you build a nice house, or you live really well for a while. And then you're going to die. I mean, many people, they're dying, okay? And, 70 is not very old, and they're dying. Okay, to you it's very old, I understand. Okay, but I'm looking at it from my perspective. Just yesterday, I was a kid.
Right.
And now, there's less years between when I was a kid and when most people die. That's not comforting. And so, if you just spent your life on yourself, what's the value? It's worthless.
Then there's a benefit for you personally when you are able to have a career, regardless of what that career is, that is actually going to be in the mission field.
Absolutely. So what you have to think about is, how can I benefit the cause of God? So whether you are a computer programmer, yes, computer programmers. We need computer programmers.
Sure. Not
only in one office area, but right now I'm trying to develop Kaylee Bible College. Mm-hmm. Okay, I wish I had some really good computer programmers that can sit there and develop the whole program for me, that I don't have to pay a fortune for it.
Right.
We got to look at some generic models and who knows whatever else to see how we can do it. But can you imagine if you had a team of people that could devote their time voluntarily? They got a good paying job. They don't need the money. Okay, and they could benefit the cause of God. We have a lot of young people right now. They're doing different, in this program right now. Okay, this is a voluntary program. Obviously still need support and whatnot to get the equipment and things of that nature, but it's still a voluntary program. The nuts and bolts behind it, that's the missionary outreach that we need. A person who's a medical doctor, they're there not just to make healthy sinners. They're there to help people to change their life, to reach them and to bring them into the truth. So it doesn't matter what your calling is, but it has to be, how can I benefit the cause of God?
All right, so once you've established this first point, what's the next thing I'm looking for?
Then, obviously, you need to see what is your abilities.
Talents.
Talents and abilities, okay? Some talents can be developed, okay? Public speaking, for example. Mm-hmm. Okay, most people think that's a natural talent. If you don't have it, you don't have it. Look, when I grew up, I was terrified of the public. I was not going to go in the public, okay? Period. When I gave my heart to the Lord, I couldn't stop talking about Jesus, all right? So my life changed. God also gives you talents that you didn't have before. However, you do start with what you have. Are you using the talents and abilities that you have?
So the second principle then is that you have to consider, what are your talents? And if you've had the first experience with the Lord, then you're going to really do this together with the Lord. And He's going to reveal to you what talents He has given you already. And as you use them, others will be developed as well.
Absolutely. Just to read you a statement here. This is from the book Education, page 267. This page stuck in my mind from the very day when I was trying to decide what to do in life. Mm-hmm. Because I had other aspirations, I had other goals, I had other plans in my life. I had no intention of being in the ministry. That was the last thing I ever planned to do, to be a Bible worker. No, that wasn't for me. I did go to missionary school, not to be a Bible worker. I went to missionary school so that when I do become in my other field that I was planning on going into, that I'd be effective missionary in that field. That's why I went to missionary school. And that's why everybody should go to missionary school, by the way. And if you're having a difficult time with that, look up Kaylee Bible College, and you need to maybe consider that. Even in your spare time, you can do that. But on page 267, the book Education, it says here, the specific place appointed us in life is determined by our capabilities. So God has actually given everyone a place in life.
Okay.
And if you don't find that place in life, you're gonna be dissatisfied. And so a lot of people, they're out there. Our church is facing a problem with worldliness.
Sure.
Why? Because they haven't found their place in life. They're working.
But they're not working in the context that we're talking about.
Because they're not finding satisfaction. So if you don't find satisfaction in what you are doing, you're going to look for something else. And the worldliness is no natural course. And you still don't find it because the more people get worldly, the more dissatisfied they are.
So now I've made my connection with the Lord. I've looked at my talents. Then what do I do?
Okay, so now, just look at this as well. It continues. So it's determined by our capabilities. Not all reach the same development or do with equal efficiency the same work. God does not expect the hyssop to attain the proportions of the cedar or the olive the height of the stately palm. But each should aim just as high as the union of human with divine power makes it possible for him to reach. So first of all, if your goal in life, listen carefully, if your goal in life is humanly possible, then you don't need God.
Okay.
You don't need God. What you have to do is you have to put your goals that are above human capabilities. The London Project we just talked about earlier. The London Project, okay, that is impossible. I'm scared. the closer it gets, the more terrifying it is, okay? It was really comforting this last few weeks to see the miracles of God working, but that's comforting to know we're in the right direction. But it's terrifying. How are you going to pay for it? How's all this going to happen? I have no idea. What's going to be the results? You don't know. But you make plans because God says so. And so what you do is you make your goals that are humanly impossible, but God said so. So it says here that just as high as the union of human and divine power make it possible for him to reach. So number one, obviously you give your heart to the Lord. Number two, you look at your capabilities. Number three, you make goals. But your goals have to be more than human so that you can depend upon God. And then the next paragraph has a warning and then the actual recipe.
Okay.
So it says, many do not become what they might because they do not put forth the power that is in them. Many people do not achieve what they could achieve because they put their goals so low. A sermon, they can preach a sermon, okay, as long as I say something for 1 hour, I'm fine. So they don't do the thorough research necessary to be able to give a seminar on the same subject for a week. And so what happens? You get a mediocre sermon, and if you're a Bible worker, and if I'm sitting in the congregation listening, it's like, I'm not getting my money's worth out of that. Because you're making such a low goal. So you have to make high goals. Okay? It goes on. They do not as they might lay hold on divine strength. Many are diverted from the line in which they might reach the truest success. Seeking greater honor or a more pleasing task, they attempt something for which they are not fitted. It's more glorious to do this, so let me do that. That's not the point. Many a man whose talents are adapted for some other calling is ambitious to enter a profession, and he who might have been successful as a farmer, an artisan, or a nurse, fills inadequately the position of a minister, a lawyer, or a physician. There are others, again, who might have filled a responsible calling, but who for want of energy, application, and perseverance, content themselves with an easier place. Yeah, maybe I would really like to be a physician, but that's 8 years of schooling, and then there is internships. I'll be 30-something before I get to it. So let me be a nurse. And what do? You have capabilities for one, but you are wasting it on something else. Nurse is very important. I'm just using the comparison here. Nurse is being very important. But if you have the capabilities of something better, why be satisfied with the lowest?
So now that we know these qualities that we're looking for, what do you think will be the impact on our society and on our church of the fact that the number of younger people who are neither working nor going to school is growing? Where they're becoming dependent on their parents, becoming dependent on society to take care of them. What do you think is the impact of that kind of a growing population on our church, for example?
It's tragic because you're going to lose the income, because we need income to develop new places. So if you are in the church and you're a young person and you are not going to school and you're not working, that's a tragedy in itself. Then you need to go to London. So you can learn to canvas, and when you come back here, you start canvassing. There's work to do. There should be nobody sitting around doing nothing. If you love the Lord, you can't be unemployed. Maybe you don't get a job, but you should be giving Bible studies, you should be doing something. Go evangelize the world.
There is a place for everyone.
Absolutely.
In this work.
And not everyone has to be paid. Look, when we look at Brazil, the brethren that went to Brazil for the first time, they went there, somebody helped them pay the trip, and that's it. They landed in Brazil, and you're on your own.
Right.
And that's for everywhere. Where's the missionaries? How about Livingston? All those. Where did they get? They got on a boat, and they went to wherever they ended up at, and they had to sink or swim. Where is that attitude? Where is the young people in our church who's going to take it and get out of the comfort zone of having so many members around them and decide, let me go find a place where there's no members and go and start to work. Maybe learn another language, go do something. Where's that attitude?
Or move to San Francisco, San Jose, Oakland, Santa Rosa.
Yeah, all those areas. But that's all. We don't forget those things, but there's so many possibilities. There's not a way to sit back and relax. So how do you determine what God wants you to do? Next paragraph. Number 1, we need to follow more closely God's plan of life. In other words, your relationship with God is number 1. Don't ever forget that. Number 2, listen carefully. Number 2, to do our best in the work that lies nearest. Nobody has nothing to do.
All right.
Nobody. If the thing that lies nearest is to go dig your garden for your parents, that's your work that lies nearest. If it's to go chop wood for one of the poor people in church for free, that's the work that lies nearest. It may be getting a job, it may be getting something, but it doesn't matter. It's finding what opportunities God is placing for you. Then, to commit our ways to God. Saying, Lord, what do you want me to do? Then, and to watch for the indications of His providence. What is God leading you to do? And then here's the last part of the sentence. These are the rules that ensure safe guidance in the choice of an occupation.
So we already have clear instruction on what we need to do as young people. And it's beholden on us then to do a little bit more investigation of the word of inspiration to be able to have better guidance.
Absolutely.
Well, it's been a real pleasure. We're very grateful to have Brother Peter here with us, and we hope that he's going to visit us more often, and hopefully we'll have an opportunity to ask him some more questions.
Thank you, and God bless.